Okay, sorry about that, guys. So we're going to do the second exercise within this building geoprocessing models using ArcGIS Pro from Esri, and this is the prepare the analysis exercise. And so we're going to go through this. Again, it says 20 minutes. You should do this in about 2 minutes. It's pretty quick. You guys should be better than that by now. All right, download the data. Plan the analysis. What are we actually wanting to do? So we want to, all site selection analysis operations have criteria that are specific to the site. In this case, we are looking to find a wastewater site for a new wastewater treatment plant that has to be within 3,000 feet of the Cache de la Poudre River, must be within 1 mile of the city limits, 300 feet from a residential parcels and parks, okay, and must lie outside the floodplain, okay, must be on a vacant parcels that are 50,000 square feet or greater. Okay, so we can think about how we might do some of this as far as selecting, using select by attributes, maybe do some spatial selections, and so you can think about what we might need to do. Anyway, let's get going, and we'll try to work through this. So I'm not going to show this every time, but I'm just going to talk through the steps that we're going to do, planning the analysis. Let's go ahead and go, and we'll start up our ArcGIS Pro. So we're done with this one. I want to close this. I don't need to save it. No. All right. We stopped our screen share. What happened? You got to see my pretty face. All right, let's go share again. We're going to look at Fort Collins. Excellent, there it is. So we got all the layers on. First step it says is to turn everything off except for turn hydro back on. And then what's it want us to do is just select only input rows, select hydro. All right, ensure that the selection type is set to new selection. So what are we doing? Let's skip ahead. Oh, all we got to do is get a selection. What do we do? Geoprocessing, analysis. Let's go here. Tools. All right. So select by attributes. Boom, boom, boom. Go back. There it is. Okay, input rows. What are we looking for? Where the name is Cache de la Poudre River. So the Poudre River up in Fort Collins, we're going to look for hydro. Make sure it's a new selection. Where name is Cache de la Poudre. Okay. Run it. We should see this. This looks like the Poudre River. Yep, there it is. All right, so we got those selected. Because the first step was 3,000 feet, within 3,000 feet of the Poudre River. Okay, so that's the first step. So we got that selected. And we'll just leave that selected here because the next step we're going to do is start building our model. All right. So we'll get all these selected. Turn all those on, and we can see that the Poudre River is selected. And look at that little floodplain that we've got there with it. We go back from our selection. Notice that that's still highlighted, and we still got it selected. All right. Let's go to site selection. All right. New wastewater treatment plant must fulfill the following criteria: within 1 mile of the Fort Collins city limits, within 3,000 feet of the Poudre River. All right, let's create some buffers. All right, what are we going to do? Well, let's open up Model Builder. Think about what you're going to do before it tells you what to do. That's going to help you learn. All right. We got this. What are we going to do? Let's add a buffer. Go back. We got buffer. Drop it in. Ooh. So a lot of times it's going to tell you exactly what to do, but you know how you can fix stuff if you need to. I'm not going to do every single step because it's not necessary. But if you've never done any of this, you might want to do every single step. All right, we got buffer. And it says, oh, it says to drag 2 buffers, I believe. Drag it in twice. Yeah, all right, 2 buffers. Buffer 1, buffer 2. All right, excuse me, I'm going to take a drink. All right, let's put in hydro into this first buffer. Input features, hydro. Now what's going to happen? It's going to put in hydro, but what do we have selected in hydro? We've got just the Poudre River selected. Cool. All right. Distance, what are we going to do? 3,000 feet. We already know this, right? Okay. Make sure that's selected to feet. Okay. And we want to set it to dissolve. Dissolve out all outputs into single features. All right, got that one going. Looking good. All right, let's do another city buffer. What's the rule for city buffer? What are we going to do? Within 1 mile of Fort Collins city limits. So let's open that up. Input features is city limits. What are we going to do? 1 mile? I bet that's what it is. I'm just going to go back and check, make sure I don't go off the rails too much. So that's why it should be a lot faster, because you know what to do. We're going to have this set to dissolve to one output or one feature. Okay, we got those done. Let's save this model. What are we going to call it? Save as site selection. Oh, it looks like I've already done this, right? I'm going to do it site selection live, because that's what I'm doing. All right, cool. All right. Locate common areas of 2 buffers is the next one. Okay, what are we going to do? We're going to clip. So let's add in a clip. Geoprocessing. Let's find the clip. Clip. There it is. Pop it in there. We're going to do hydro buffer. And what are we going to set that as? This is the river buffer, and that is going to be the clip features, right? City limits, input features. Oh, we want to change these names though, right? Is that what we want to make sure that we've got some names adjusted? So we call this river buffer or buffer river. Rename. Okay. Rename this one to what? City buffer or buffer sitter. Buffer city. All right, good deal. So what's this one output going to be? This one's going to be a similar name, right? River buff. I'm just doing this so it matches what the assignment says to do. All right. As long as you give it a name that you can recognize, that's fine. City buff. It's good. This is good practice though, right? Okay. Clip. What's this clip gonna have? Must be in. All right. Rename that. Must be in. Okay. So what does it mean? Must be in. So of these, can we run this and see what's going to happen? We'll validate it and run. We'll do this a couple times. All right, so we'll add this to the display and we'll see what it looks like. So it's going to have to be within this. Within of that. What else we got? City limits is the red section. So let me turn off the other ones. Parks. Floodplain, we're not looking at that yet. Vacant parcels, we haven't looked at that. What's this other brown? Residential parcels, we can turn those off. What I did. Okay. So as of right now, you got to be within 1 mile of city limits and within 3,000 feet of the Poudre River. So let's go ahead and just drag this down below these so we can see if it matches. All right. City limits, Poudre River. So first off, it's going to do Poudre River. And then all these have to be within city limits, right? Okay. Right, if you're not sure of that, let's look, and we can do maybe some measurements just to see, hey, is that really what we wanted? I'm going to measure from here. All right, yeah. Oh, it's in meters. Let's change it. Feet. Oh, let's do miles. Yeah, miles works. Oh, it's in 1 mile. Yeah. Okay, so that works. Where else? There's the only other site selections that we have so far are up here. So let's see. What about this one here? Yeah, city limits and the rivers. So all these look pretty good. I've got some other sites over here. We got the river and city limits. Okay. What about this site here? This looks like it's kind of far off from the city limits. I wonder if this is really good. Let's zoom in. Get that measuring tool again. Here's the river. Oh, the city. I didn't see this little sliver of city limits, right? Turn that off there. That's why this selection is done. Okay, that's a weird little municipal issue. They probably did that for some tax reason. All right, we'll turn hydro back on. All right, let's go ahead and so we've seen what it does. Let's go back to our model. You're not required to do that. Just want to explain why it's doing what it's doing. All right, we'll clear that, validate it. All right, I'm going to turn this one off because we don't need to add that to display. All right, next step. What are we going to do? We're going to do what's the next one? It needs to be within parks and residential. And it's got to be within a vacant one and not within the floodplain. So if you don't remember for sure, let me just copy all of this stuff, and you can kind of get an idea of what you need to do. So I'm going to copy, and then I'm going to open up a notepad just to help for this course, so you can see what we're doing. Notes. Oh, no. There it is. Okay, I'm going to post it on here. Control V. All right. So this is the criteria that we need, and I'm going to refer back to this and make sure we got it. So what have we done so far? Within 1 mile of city limits, check, right? We'll put a X next to that. Within 3,000 feet of the Cache la Poudre River. I keep saying Della. All right, now we've got, the next one we're gonna do is 300 feet from a residential parcels and parks. So what would we do? We do another buffer, right? Let's do that. So a lot of this is just buffers because they're easy to understand. We'll go back, we'll throw another buffer on here. All right, what do we got? Residential, and we got another parks. All right. So let's do it. Double click, input features. What are we gonna do? Well, we've got residential parcels, okay. 300 feet, 300. Went to meters, so I want feet. All right, dissolve. Oops, all features into single. Okay, got that one. What else we need? Oh, we want to change the name of this as we go. That's fine, let's do it. Oops, don't need a label. Oh, don't delete all of it. Select that label. With all of it selected, I hit delete, so I had to undo. Okay, what do we got? Buffer res, or residential. And then this one's going to be called, rename this one to res buffer, res buff. Okay. This one, let's open up the next one. What's it going to be? Parks, right? If we can't remember. All right, so we just did parcels. Control, or not control. We did that one, and then we're going to do parks. Okay. So input features is parks. What do we want to do? Output feature class, what do we want to call it? Call it here. We want to call it parks buff. Buff. Okay. How far do we want? 300 feet, right? Okay. And we're going to dissolve it into a single feature. Okay. So we got those. All right. Now what are we going to do? We're going to put all these in a single feature class, and we're going to call it unsuitable. But we're also going to add an additional one to this. We're going to bring them all in, and we're going to add floodplain to it. So we can just drop in floodplain. Let's go ahead and do an auto layout. All right, there it goes. What do we want to do? Oh, we want to create a feature class, okay. All right, found that tool. Let's drop it in here. What are we going to call it? Unsuitable. It's coming in for Fort Collins. We want to call this unsuitable. It's going to be a polygon, current map, right? Coordinate system. Alrighty. We'll just leave the rest there. Okay, so it's going to create a new feature class. What's going to be in that feature class? Well, we want to append all of the data together, right? I want to just read this out so we know. Next, you will combine all unsuitable areas into a single feature class. You can do it in one of several ways, right? You can always do it in a few different steps if you wanted to. The union or intersect tools are commonly used. However, you are not using the attributes for the analysis at this point, so you do not need to combine them. Both the union and intersect tools would take longer to run and yield more information than you need. Remember, when we make models, we want them just to be exactly what we want. Instead, you will use the append tool with the no test option, which allows you to combine data sets without worrying about the attributes. Great. So essentially, we're just combining them, and we're not going to get all the attributes to adjust or to do any analysis via the attributes. It's really just spatial appending. Search for the append. Okay, let's go find it. Boom. All right, we got appends. Let's drag it on there. All right, what are we going to do with the append? So before you even look and see what to do, think about, what are we appending? Well, what did we just create? We got buffers, residential, and then we got a floodplain, right? We look back at what we don't want it to be. It's got to be at least 300 feet from. So the difference is that these are, it has to be within, and these, it has to be 300 feet from those. Right? I'll put an X there because we finished that. And it's got to be outside the floodplain as well. So we're going to cover that. And then it has to be on a parcel that's 50,000 or larger. So I'm going to do Control X. And I'm going to add this below because that's going to be our last step that we're going to do. So these two are going to be done in this step. Okay, so let's go back to our model builder. What are we going to do? Appending these. So what can we do? Input data set. Looks good to me, right? Boom. Input. Okay. What else? Floodplain. Right. We didn't have to do anything for that. Boom, boom, boom. Now what do we want? Okay, we got 3 inputs, and where do we want to put this? All right, we want to put it into unsuitable. That's why we made that and set that as the target. Now we're going to make this, rename this to unsuitable. Right? Is that what we're going to call it? Actually, it should auto generate. Let me escape out of that. Updated target. Let's open this up. And you can see that's what it's going to be. Unsuitable. Okay. So if we validate it, it should be good to go. Let's go ahead and see what happens. So if we run it, I want to add that one to the display. And let's run it. Just step by step, see what we're doing. Still processing. So when you're doing this, you probably don't, unless you got a faster computer, you probably don't want to check each step just for this training, but you can definitely do it. Just know that it might take a little bit because it takes a minute on this one. It's dissolving, right? Because it's got all those little lines. What was I setting to dissolve on this one? We've got the parks and the residential parcels, a lot of residential parcels. Okay, finished. Let's go see what it looks like. All right, so it cannot be in this section. Let's turn off the floodplain. Let's turn off, well, let's do our little trick, right? Turn them all off, and we'll just turn this on. So it cannot be in this, and it has to be, oh, I didn't add the other one back, did I? And it must be in this one. We'll add this one to display. Okay. Go back to our map. So it's got to be in this, and it can't be in that. What are we going to do? Well, yeah, we'll clip it. We'll see what's going on. But so you can see all these places that it can be. Essentially, all the little light blue or whatever color that is that you can see, it's got to be within one of those. But we have one more criteria that's going to meet, right? It's got to be on a vacant parcel that's bigger than 50,000 square feet. So let's look at our vacant parcels. And I'll bring this up just so we can see. Okay, so what are you expecting? So it's going to be, if you can see the overlay, we could do this, bring this on top. All right, we can go to our symbology and make that a little bit transparent. We'll do it all. Transparency amount. Okay. Obviously, I want to add this one here. There we go. That was my mistake. Okay. So now you can see some of that. You can still see behind it. I'm still getting used to Pro. All right. So we got some transparency. I just want to show you what we're going to be expecting for the next step to occur. So it's going to, remember, it's going to have to be within that because that's the Poudre River, 3,000 feet within that. It's going to have to be within a vacant parcel, and it's also going to have to be, it cannot be within this updated target set, which should be inappropriate, right? Okay, so vacant parcel. So it's going to be one of these guys, but it's got to be greater than 50,000 square feet. So let's go ahead and see what that looks like. We'll go back to our model, and I'm going to validate it so I can rerun it. But I'm going to rename this, and it really should just be unsuitable 2. Unsuitable. Oh, can't name it, right? It's going to have to come from that. Right. The input schema's got to match. Did we have to adjust that? All right, so what are we going to do? We're going to erase some stuff. We don't, so this isn't, there it goes. Do you see how it finally loaded up to unsuitable 2? You have to, sometimes you have to open up the tool for it to work. Unsuitable 3, right? Do it again. What is it going to say? Go back to 2. That's interesting how it does that. So you may see some differences. Let's hit auto layout. How now? This may be what it looks like for you. I don't know. It's got to be in this one, and it can't be in this one. So what are we going to do? We're going to, this tool wants us to save it, and then we'll use the erase tool. So let me turn off the symbology, and we'll go back, and we'll use erase. It's a good tool to use. Input feature. What do we want? Oh, we want to put this actually want to put the tool on the model. Let's go ahead and drag it in there again. Erase what? We want to put input features must be in. Erase the unsuitable ones. Okay, that's pretty simple, and it makes sense, right? Do auto lay it again. Wow, now that kind of made it. I wish it was in the middle, but that's how it does it. And the output is suitable areas, right? Okay, we'll rename this. Suitable. Good. Enter. All right. So let's run it and see. No, I'm not going to run it again. All right. What's the last one we want to do? We want to make sure that it actually connects. We got to select those vacant parcels that are greater than 50,000. And we got to find some that are actually available for them. All right. So let's add a clip tool. Clip. Whoa. Yep, that's fine. Under suitable areas. Let's put on our vacant parcels. So we saw those before, right? There's our vacant parcel. So that's what we're going to be clipping out. Let's add it. Okay, so what would we do? Let's just think about what we're going to do. So we want it to be in there, but we know it can be in this. So let's put this in as input, and let's clip out our vacant parcels. Okay, clip features. Cool. All right. Is that the best way to do it? Well, that's going to work, right? What's the output feature going to be? These are vacant suitable. We can open that up and write it in here. Or let's just rename it. Probably easier. Vacant suitable. Suitable. How about a suit? Okay. Good deal. All right. Let's save it. Auto layout. It keeps wanting us to do that. So we're seeing what it's going to do. We're going to do one more thing. All right. Now we need to select by only 50,000 where the shape area is greater than 50,000. All right. So let's do select by attribute. All right. Run that in there. Obviously, input rows. Let's open this up. See what we got. Vacant suitable. New selection. What's the expression going to be? Where shape area is equal to greater than 50,000. 5000. Is that right? 50,000. We got it. All right. Hit OK. Let's go ahead and auto layout. All right. We'll do a fit to window so we can see them all. All right. Let's save. Is that what we were supposed to do? Oh, I wasn't supposed to use select by attribute. You can just select. What's the difference? Well, this one here I get a count. So let's just use select, not table select, actually select. All right, let's drag that in there. Input features, open, output feature class. It's going to be what? Oh, we got to select by what? Create a new expression where object is shape area is greater than or equal to, right, 50,000. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Okay, got that one here. So that's what we wanted to have. I want to remove this. It'll still get you the same information, but let's go ahead and just cut that out of there. I will fit to window, I'll auto layout, okay, and then let's rename this, right? What's this going to be? We're going to name this as candidates. Is there an easier way to have done this? Absolutely. Candidates. All right. But we're going to do this way just so we're all on the same page. All right, let's go ahead and validate. What else do I need to do? I need to, I want to add remove these from the display. What else to have? Okay, I'm going to add that to display. I'm going to turn all these on. And let's go ahead and run it. You can see as it's running, it's going down to each one, running each one. So it does those. Excuse me. So I got a couple buffers that I hadn't renamed correctly, like buffer park or parks. I didn't do that one. Got to rename that. It takes a minute to run, but we can continue to look at what's going to happen. All right, buffer residential. There's lots of residential parcels there, so that's what takes a long time to do. So remember, every single one it's going through, checking to make sure. Okay, it's going to be done pretty quickly here. All right, got that done. Added our candidates layer. Let's go see what it looks like. And that kind of matches what we had talked about before. So let's see. What is this, floodplain? That looks like it's in the floodplain. Did I not include that? I'm confused as to why that's that's allowing that to happen? Is that not in our, let's go back to our unsuitable. Let's add that to our display, and let's go see if it's on there or not. So it can't be in these areas. Is it in any of those areas? Let's turn off our floodplain because, well, it shouldn't, the floodplain be unsuitable as well? I believe it should. When I ran it before, it wasn't in there. So let's see what we did. All right. Vacant parcels, turn those off. Here, the candidates is saying that it has included it in the floodplains. So I think we got something wrong here. Our unsuitable areas makes sense, right? It can't be within the distance of those residential parcels, but it should also include all of this floodplain area. So we're just looking for a few little spots. Let's go back and see what we did wrong. Okay. Unsuitable. What do we got? Oh, did I include floodplains in this? Look up here. Floodplain is set loose. So you may be screaming at the video saying you never did that way back when. Yeah, that's what happened. So let's go ahead and add that to an append. We will input that. All right. Let's go ahead and auto layout. That looks a little different. Make sure that fits to window. We'll save it and let's run it. See what happens. Okay, just notice it's good. This is going to delete, but I want to look and see what happens. So right now, this is what we've got. What we should expect to see different is our unsuitable is going to change, and our candidates is also going to change. So I want to take off this floodplain. See all these candidates here, that's going to adjust. So it's going to, you can't be in the floodplain for this to work. Because we're looking for a site selection for a water treatment plant. So let's go back to our model and run it. And I'm going to go back to drawing and see what it looks like. So we can see those will be changed. The candidates will be rewritten. So as it's running, we'll just sit here and watch. So it's kind of an exciting thing to see because you want to be aware of what you're doing. Don't just click here and click there. Make sure that you are aware of what you're doing and why you're doing it. And maybe you can identify some mistakes that you made. Even if you are following a guide, right? You just get in a hurry. I've done this a couple times. Want to make sure that it's going to work with the video. And I skipped a step. So that's what happens when you get familiar with your model. You start skipping stuff. You go in a hurry. And there we go. Let's see. Candidates. Did it finish? No, it's done. All right. Let's see. Floodplain, did it adjust? It should have adjusted. What's our unsuitable? Let's go back and add our unsuitable. Oh, it hung up here. Floodplain does not match the schema of the previous inputs. Aha. So let's go ahead and close this. So it stopped. We'll open up the pins. Internal error. Target database unsuitable. Right, okay. Got floodplain, res buff, these three, and it's supposed to all be appended to that data set there. Okay, let me revalidate that. And let's just see if this portion will run. I had to select here to run those instead of run the whole model. We'll see what it's going to do. All right. I'm hoping that it's going to work this time. Sure takes a long time doing this residential buffer. Excuse me. Well, my first time that I ran this, it ran fine. Wasn't trying to do it in front of others. And looks like this one here is going to, does it freeze up on me again? There it goes. Floodplain does not match the schema of previous inputs. All right, so that's not matching these. Okay. So let's go back and open this up. Oh, gotta validate. Okay. What do we got down here? Input schema must match target schema. No. Let's just use the field map to reconcile that. All right. So we don't actually have to do anything here. I forgot to do that step. So let's see what it says. It's going to already do that. It's going to come up with a new one called part. It's going to have already done that for us, and we don't have to do anything else except selecting that. Meaning that they don't all have to match. All of their attributes don't have to match, and that's going to take care of that for us. All right, so let's go ahead and rerun it one more time. Validate, rerun. I appreciate your patience. Hope all is well. Go ahead and take this time to get up and wash your hands, and hopefully you can do your part to slow the spread. All right, buffer that residential area takes a long time because it is doing every single one of these residential areas. It's making a buffer, each one of those. And then it's combining them all by dissolving them all into one. So yeah, it's going to take some time. So we should expect this candidate area to now not include our floodplain when this rewrites it. So I'm expecting to see this one, a few up here, and unsuitable is going to run. All right, took those off. All right, let's see, it's still working. Candidates are now in green instead of that tan color. So let's go ahead. You can see our unsuitable. We'll turn that off. We'll turn our floodplain off. We'll turn our hydro off, our parks off, our residential off, our city limits. And now we have this section here, which is much, much different. Okay, so we've got a few of those highlighted and available. Let's see, do they meet the first criteria? What's that? Let's bring this up here. Do they meet this? We've got within 1 mile of Fort Collins city limits. Yeah, I'm going to say all of that's true. So some of these are within, and some of these are outside, but they're pretty close. This is the farthest one it looks like that would be considered, but let's measure it and see. Measure that distance. Oh yeah, we got plenty of room. It's gonna meet that. All right, good deal. That's the only one I would consider for that. Let's go ahead and so it meets that first one. 3,000 feet of the Poudre River. So let's turn that on. And I can turn off my city limits because I'm not concerned about that anymore. So we've got the Poudre River highlighted. And what are we saying? 3,000 feet? 3,000 feet, excuse me, from that. So let's see. Are all these in? Oh, that's in miles. Let's change it to feet. Okay. Yep, 3,000. Good deal. What else we got? Anyone else that's of concern? No, all these look pretty close. That might be of concern. Yeah, we're good to go. Okay. Let's turn that off. What's the next one? At least 300 feet from residential parks, residential parcels and parks, and outside the floodplain. Okay, so we can do floodplain really quickly. Floodplain. Any of these overlapping it? It's hard to tell. Let's put the floodplain above it. Oh, and you can still see them, so that means that they're good to go. That's the easiest way to visualize that. Right? They're all above that. Okay, good deal. So we can turn the floodplain off. Residential parks. Oh wait, it's the what was the concern? 300 feet buffer from parks and parcels. So unsuitable was what we used for that. Okay, and so we can maybe just drop unsuitable above it as well. And if any of these change, then we'll know it's no good. Now it's drawn above. Right? You can turn it on, turn it off, and all of those are still visible. Okay, good deal. And then 50,000 square feet. So we can go ahead and, this might take a while, but this is the other way that you could do it. Let's go ahead and explore these. Right, you can click on all those. Shape, length, shape, area. 2 million. Is this in feet? Let's go see. You don't know for sure? Hey, let's check it out. All right, this is from candidates. We'll open up our attribute table. Shape area. Oh, that's all of them. Oh, okay. So if you're not for sure, let's go ahead and go to vacant parcels. So that total is for the whole area. So this vacant parcel, let's see, it's in this one. Can I select that one? Okay. Yeah, it's in a vacant parcel, the shape area. That is 814 square feet. So it's within that parcel. So it's got to have at least that big enough of a parcel for it to work. All right, good deal. All right, looking good. Let's go ahead and zoom in if you don't believe that. We could do another measure, right? Measure, and instead of that, can we just measure this feature? It's going to select all of it. No, I don't want to do that. Let's go ahead and just measure the area. Let's see if we can get a. I'm kind of rough. I'm roughing it. Got to remember where my pointer is. It's at the crosshairs, right? Not at the L. Okay, what's that? The sum of square meters. Let's go ahead and change it to feet. Square feet. 2 million feet, square feet. Okay, that's pretty big. That's a big one. So these also are going to be big. What about this one? It's a little bit smaller. That's 100,000, right? We look at the sum, right? Quite big. All right, so those are all big enough. I just wanted to go through and show you, you can verify that these are done, but that's the last criteria that we have. So we've got all these candidates available. That's great. All right, so that is the last step. We're going to see what else it tells us to do. I'm pretty sure that's it. We're going to save this. And we're also going to compare this one to another one. So what we're going to do is I'm going to give you some guidelines for another criteria to do to compare this. So the next thing you want to do after you've completed this, right? I want you to have this due ideally today if you can get it done tomorrow, but you have till tomorrow to finish your exam to complete that after you've done your geoprocessing, right? Okay. So we'll slide this, bring this over to our window. And we're done here, so run the model, right? We've done that. It says take about 15 minutes. You can zoom and look at it. All right, we've got all that. You go through your review. All right. What are model parameters and why is it important to set them? We've talked about parameters hundreds of times in class, but what are they? Anything that you can put into a model or anything that comes out of a model. Could be data, could be conditions, could be many things. Let's see. Model parameters are the type of parameter exposed in a geoprocessing model that appears in a model's dialog box and allows for input. Setting model parameters is important if you are sharing your model with others. Model parameters allow others to run a model from a tool dialog box and add their own data or values as input. Okay. If a colleague or another user sends you a model, what should you do first with the model and why? Well, you should look at it and see if it's validate it maybe to see what's going on. Okay, you should first validate the model because validation will verify data inputs and other parameters. If they're invalid, you can set them up, right? So in case they have, this happens a lot. You create a model and then you run it so many times on your computer, it works great. Then you share it with someone else and you forget all these little things that you had just set on your computer. Maybe they weren't saved correctly. All right, suppose that you want to send your parcel notification model to GIS analyst in another city. The analyst will run the model as is, but she wants to add the city's own parcel data and buffer distances. How might you set up this capability in the model before you send it? Simply go back to your model. Let's go back here and we'll go to our model. What would we do here? We'd input these as parameters, right? So we've got all these. This would all be, we'd add these as parameters, boom, 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 boom. And we want to filter for all of these, right? Make sure that it's not within any of the river that you're concerned with, that it's outside your city limits, outside of parks. So you want to have all these different data sets for your specific municipality that you're concerned about running this for. All right. All right. Set the input data elements as model parameters. All right. Yeah. That's the whole point of having models. It's great to share them, and you can set it up to run with different data sets. Okay. If you set an application level environment setting and then you set a model level setting for the same environment, which setting would override the other? All right. Application and then model level. What do you think is going to override it? Model. So I'm going to override pretty much everything that you run. And if you're concerned that you don't know about that, let's go back. It says it here, model environment settings. I think. Yeah, there we go. All right, which one? And it has a hierarchy. Which one? Model process level overrides all. Model level overrides everything above it, and so on and so forth. So that's where you get that information. But we kind of covered that. Anything that you set in the model is going to run specifically for that model. All the other environments run outside of that. Okay, so you've got that. Go back to review, and let's look at our exam. So you've got these questions. I'm not going to go through this, but you've got to get 8 out of 10 to pass. So if you pass and you just send me your passing certificate, I'm just going to give you 8 out of 10. If you take the test, and at the end of it, it's going to say how many you got correct. If you take a screenshot of that and send it to me, I'll give you your score for that. So just to let you know, I'm going to multiply that by 5 because this is a quiz for Project 3, and you're going to get credit for the quiz questions for Project 3 based off of this exam. All right. Good luck, guys. If you have any questions, let me know. Other than that, happy mapping and happy modeling. And I really haven't heard from a lot yet, but if you got questions, let me know. I need to get some feedback from some of you that you're actually able to run on this. If you don't let me know, I can't do anything to help you out. And sorry, my shoulder's going to sore. But if you let me know, I will work with you for sure. All right, so I know we're all in a difficult time. But we're going to go ahead and stop our recording and have a great day.